matchup. And just taking a look at the lane so far, nothing too crazy. Not looking at any invades either, so it's going to be a very clean matchup. Or maybe we're going to be seeing some cheeky stuff from here, thinking about it, but instead wanting to press the attack there with tempo, just trying to do what they can there onto Jong. Slow down this little Charcadet and if possible, prevent the evolution. And Buzzwole, best bully to do so.
Yeah, this is one of the first times we've seen Charcadet in half, and honestly, it doesn't do too bad. A decent amount of secure options, but it's going to be tempo, starting things off with a bit of momentum. That Buzzwole dealing that damage. You see that blinking gauge below their HP bar. Their beast gauge is full. The next Fell Stinger they land will do tremendously more damage than the base attack.
Yeah, so both teams just going to disengage for now. Reset, maybe reconsider what they're going to do. We do have the Scyther up there, so Animo ready to assist if they want to try and push the issue in that top lane. And it's definitely going to happen, especially when we do have the Sparkblue and Altaria pop in. So Animo ready to secure this for the team. And here we go. They have come in, and yeah, Jong's like, guys, nah. I want to live today.
Yeah, Lava Plume not really going to take a lot of that experience to be something to face a 3-team member of Fusion. In the upside, we do have the poor Chansey having to make an escape, but it will be a level 6 Scyther after a big score. Good early pressure from Fusion so far.
Oh, if Kia steals this, that would be very bad, but unfortunately not going to be enough there. It looks like the Snorlax has come in. Ward trying to slow Kia down, but too speedy there on that Eldegoss. Meanwhile, Leafeon in the enemy central area and actually will be going down to Animo. Quick feet, not quick enough for this Leafeon. The Scyther 1-0 in that speedster matchup.
Yeah, Leafeon able to at least take the red buff, but Scyther taking that right back by knocking out that opposing Pokemon and transferring the buff over to it. So Nemo having a great start to this matchup, roaming all over the map, but that's going to make things tricky. Huge snipe shot for Subin. The second one does go wide, and that means Tempo getting this fight started, though, taking the fight up close and personal on this Buzzwole, and Sean will not be able to run.
Tempo is creating tempo for his team. He is massive on this Buzzwole, just beating people down. And for XORATIGERS, just the way that they've built up their entire composition, they don't really have anyone outside of that Snorlax that can stand toe-to-toe with that Buzzwole. So they're going to have to try and figure out a solution when it does come to dealing with tempo in those team fights. Will it have to be Sabine with the potential pokes and prevent him from coming in himself? Or is it going to be some kind of burst potential? We don't know yet, but this Buzzwole is a problem for this team so far.
All right, Emerald two-step will start things off with the KO, so XORATIGERS Gaming finally with a bit of wind beneath their sails. KO trying to defend the goal zone against 3, but that's a KO streak of 2 for this Leafeon.
Hey,
Fuel gets the work. Ghostfire versus Ghostfire right below the goal zone, but that will be 6 in, leaving this goal zone at 3. A small over breaking the goal.
Zinus thought he was safe. He even stuck around as well. Very big loss for the team there to lose the Chandelure. Really don't want to lose your attacker there if possible. Have them just looking for that experience, but look at the Snorlax, the sleep onto Animo. Beautiful, but love how Wood is doing such a diligent job in protecting Sabine. He understands how pivotal Sabine is in these fights, especially with the snipes, and oh my gosh, there's the follow-up from from Jong, and he just comes in, triple KO, grabs everything, the buffs, the experience. How is XORATIGERS so clean?
I know, XORATIGERS Gaming finally getting a bit of momentum. A tough early start to this matchup with some early aggression of Fusion, but the response has been perfect. I love that Heavy Slam Yawn choice. Snorlax does have block, but that Yawn is an unbelievably long amount of stun.
Especially
timing out of the Scyther, and of course the Yawn landing will extend that CC for up to about 3 seconds, which is so much for a very squishy Pokemon like Scyther to do.
It's not even just Scyther. I think, Tempo would have to be worried about being yawned himself. He cannot afford to be idle for his team. And I love how after noticing that this Buzzwole being a nuisance in the early game, constantly coming in with the attacks on that Leafeon, Emerald two-step every time it's off cooldown, just to slow down the progression of that Buzzwole. So Tempo not really holding that same level of power he had in that early game anymore.
Yeah, and again, we're starting to see this Leafeon dominate this tournament, but now without that Comfey pocket that we've seen so popularized, which does mean that Blissey can kind of support the entire roster. They need the Blissey that Sailors, they can. Big Heavy Slam, but it doesn't land on anybody. But a check button plus Power Nap is going to land a couple of stuns. Very nice work from Ward on this Snorlax pick.
Fusion, though, very lucky not to lose any Pokemon in their central area. So they managed to retreat, and because they know some Unites are on cooldown, maybe thinking to themselves, maybe we try and make a play happen here, especially with the Reggies coming into play very soon.
Yeah, Fusion want a foothold back in this matchup. Objective would be a great way to do it, but it looks like they're aiming at a siege on a tier 1 in the top half. Great spot to do so. It only has one left on it. You could overdone by a ton. Ward takes a ton of damage. Buzz will Unite, will get that execute. And Anemo's going to bring the Scyther Unite as well. Green Illusion dive, hits out a few targets, but that's 2 Unite moves from XORATIGERS Gaming to trade the other direction. Leafeon going to chase down Anemo, gets that knockout, and now the fight rages on the other direction.
Man, that Bliss Assist makes it so difficult for Anemo to try and go for the snipes, but look at that! Oh my gosh, the Unite, the catch onto the Leafeon, and the Midnight Ignite as well. Snorlax is back into the fight though, Wood providing assistance, Jung doing quite a bit himself, taking out the support. And now both teams trying to find their next opening, and actually XORATIGERS looking to grab the objective themselves. The Snorlax being punted back by Tempo, trying to push him back and lower his health. Chandelure waiting in the wings, trying to go for the burst himself. The Secure is there, and it's going to be, yet again, Jung picking up the Secure on that Regieleki, and now Fusion needs to back up. They cannot afford to lose Pokemon in this attack.
Yeah, impressive stuff. I mean, we had Kraken looking for some backline targets on this slow row, but Ceruledge able to take them out from Jong. It's just too tough of an opposition to work with in that objective fight. However, a nice rotation by Anemo will net them that Regi, so a healing buff for the whole team, but most importantly, that precious experience they need. They're actually looking okay on the side of Fusion. 12-12-12 for their damage dealers. Looking pretty solid, but they are playing catch-up to XORATIGERS Gaming right now.
Yeah, Chandelure though hitting that level 13, so it might be Zinus to really be that hard carry for the team, just really dish out that damage and really provide assistance for Anemo, because I don't think Anemo has that element of surprise anymore. He can't just go in and try to pop somebody. We've seen time and time again the Blissey on point with the Bliss assists.
Of course, yeah, the Bliss assist. It's also a great answer if that early slow beam comes out. It's one of the best ways to make sure that targeted Pokemon is kept up and running in some of these fights. Bliss assist not only gives you healing shields, it also redirects a lot of the damage to Blissey themselves and absorbs so much of it. It's such a clutch defensive support unite.
30 seconds to go on the clock before we have that last 2-minute stretch, and Rayquaza hits that field. But look at how defensively Fusion are positioned. They are so afraid of being picked off and sniped off, and I do not blame them. The poke potential on Sabine, if too many of those snipe shots connect, they're going to take critical amounts of damage, and because you have Eldegoss, you don't have a quick healing support. You can't afford to take big hits like that.
Yeah, you can maybe take one, right? You have that Cloud Crash, which is going to be restore all your HP, but that's such an expensive resource in a situation like that. Fusion with a long rotation around to this top side to control that map, mostly to shut down Mule on this Leafeon. They don't want that free flank into the backline that could be devastating for the Chandelure or the Scyther to have to deal with.
Yeah, Mule also playing a really big role for his team because he's also covering Sabine's northern side. So in case anything wants to slip on through, he has the vision for the team, but Fusion, they are playing this extremely patiently. They know they still have a minute 30 to go, so what's the game plan for this team? Are they going to slowly poke this Rayquaza? Are they maybe going to try and run into XORATIGERS themselves? Because really, XORATIGERS, they're not that far away. A little micro cap can tie this game and even push them into the lead.
Yeah, I think that's why we saw Anemo join this fight so late. We're hanging out trying to prevent any back caps because of how close this match score is right now. They were about to lose the first minute of the final stretch, and that is where those points are doubled. Snorlax going to finally hit the Rayquaza just a little bit to apply a bit of pressure. That Imprison is going to lock them down. All eyes are on Tempo at the moment now. He's looking for a big
They found Tempo!
They're hit by that heavy Slam
my gosh!
That Buzzwole is immediately down. Power Nap into the middle. Ceruledge uses Ren, clears some space. Surf going to stop and does lock down the Ceruledge, but they don't get the KO. Let's see, healing's going to keep them up for long enough. Draken, Anemo, and KO trying to hold things down, but that is so much to make up for. Ward is going to run, get knocked out with a Leafeon. Will put in a hundo burger.
They're going to continue the fight here though. Draken really wants Sabine, and this Blissey's already used that Bliss assist. Anamo's still here. If he can try and get the jump onto Sabine, this could be huge. Going under the support instead, getting rid of the Blissey. The support would be massive, but I don't think they can find them. Tempo is back. He's finally come back into this game. Leafeon is out of the picture, and Rayquaza is dropping low.
At this point of the game, you would need to have a player not only at Rayquaza, but also at a goal zone. Tempo will secure the Rayquaza on that Buzzwole, but it won't be enough. Zora Tigers Gaming gonna start our series 1-0.
Zora Tigers coming out of nowhere, on the prowl, looking for the victory.
Unbelievable. I mean, what a great response.
And again, nothing too crazy. I'm glad these teams, they're keeping themselves composed, not doing anything too out of the ordinary that they themselves might not be comfortable with. But I do want to see a surprise. I want to see something magical, something that we haven't seen before that can push this game to a game number 3, because in Fusion, if they do the same thing as last game, I fear this could be a 2-0 matchup. I do believe they can do it because we know Fusion, they are an incredibly talented group.
Absolutely, and there were so many aspects of their game in that last set that I was so fond of. I mean, even going into that final moments, they had the lead, they were doing great on levels, but the slight misstep around that Rayquaza fight is, of course, disastrous, and that is so tough to deal with, but you clean that up, you could be looking at a 1-1 set, and I know there's a lot of people, but more than anyone, these 5 players on this Fusion roster are begging for that.
They are begging for it. And so far, both bottom lanes, they're just waiting for all this experience. They just want to make sure that they're going to hit their level timings as quick as possible. We have our central laners in this top lane as well, ready to go to try and get all of this experience. And look at this, actually going straight for the pullback onto the support. So that's going to be some free experience. John and Bill hanging around in that top lane, but there's only so much you can do as that magic carp. So 3 scores to start the game here for Fusion.
Yeah, great push. I love that choice to jump onto the glass support for a Nemo's Buzzwole. Oftentimes, you try to chase down that magic card, deny that effort gauge from getting filled up when you put on that early aggression, but sometimes taking out that support is a nicer option, and in fact, magic card can't even do anything after that. So, fantastic work playing around John and, of course, Choke.
And we are looking at an 8-minute evolution as well, so definitely not the fastest Gyarados we have seen in the tournament thus far, which is what Fusion want. They don't want Jump to snowball off the bat, because we've seen what happens with Gyarados is when given the early evolution. And actually, mid lane, we're seeing another battle here as one of the supports already taken down the Zora Tigers, and they're going to keep chasing for that Cramorant. It's going to be 2 for 1 so far. Looks like the Snorlax setting up for the team as well. This Buzzwole, Animo can't find that opening, instead pulled back and gonna be shut down as well. Zora Tigers, their fangs are out.
Zora Tigers Gaming gonna reduce this goal zone just to 8 after that play. I mean, clinical how they took down those targets one by one. Tempo with that play rough is in pretty deep. And of course, that slap shot's gonna hurt. I don't think we see them make it back to the goal zone. But with the Blissey assist, they might be able to push this fight a little bit further. Play rough gives you invulnerability frames. So able to avoid a lot of damage, but not when you're not using it. What a shot from Subi!
Oh, there's snipe shots coming in from Subin. The fact that they're landing, they could have kept the Mimikyu up, but just the threat of this Inteleon, you cannot leave this Pokemon unchecked because it does so much damage, especially with the fact that the snipe shots, the further you are, the more damage it does.
Exactly, being on the receiving end of those things is not something I would wish upon my worst enemy, Sprague. But I would not wish that upon them, of course. Kea takes a bit of damage, has to defend this goal zone, but they're going to have to help the Regirock buff that teammates got in the bottom path. Tempo trying to defend this goal zone, tougher to do with that play rough, since it is, in fact, single target. Shadow sneaks onto Subi, but it's not enough. Regieleki will land, and Zora Tigers Gaming are going to be racking up these Eos energy scores.
Racking up the Eos energy, getting the experience as well, but they're not too far ahead. Fusion are actually doing a really great job keeping up with the macro. We haven't seen a lot of Zinus in this match, and it's mostly because he has just been hunting all those wild Pokemon to make sure that he's able to stay toe-to-toe with Zora Tigers in the level department. The rest of the team, they are trying to hold the fort here, and we do have that Slowbro and the Buzzwole. Mimikyu there with the Unite, they do get Sabine, so there's going to be no more snipe shots, as well as the Eldegoss. So 2 of the backbone of this composition down and out, and even the Gatling Gold missile comes out as well. Zora Tigers, they may have finally been halted.
Yeah, Fusion get a foothold as they take down a few targets. My favorite play in that entire match is from Tempo in that engage. They use the Unite move so early to lock down that Inteleon. A lot of people like to wait for a big Unite move or something that you can shut down, but in fact, sometimes just forcing a fight to be 5v4 is so much better for your team. Great call by Tempo. They might be pretty low level in this matchup right now, but they're starting to catch up.
They can absolutely catch up, especially if they can keep coming up with those very crafty plays. Play with Zora Tigers' feelings and really coax out the backline, put them into a more manageable position. I love the fact that after that one fight, Fusion, they are hunting. They're not going to sit passively on their heels. They're looking for more, and they want to do this because they want that map control. They want Zora Tigers to not feel safe.
Yeah, I like this play from Fusion. They read the Regieleki play by XORATIGERS Gaming, and they're going to all rotate towards the bottom path. Chobo is going to attempt to defend that goal zone, but held by a telekinesis from Draken is going to be just enough to rein in these points, and that's a tier 2 goal zone broken. Fusion now going to have time to recall and defend against this Regieleki. No worse for wear.
No worse for wear, and this is going to be an issue for Zora Tigers in that late game because the home base is now exposed. So not only do they have to manage that top lane, but home base, that being exposed, it's extremely far. It requires a very fast Pokemon to go back home and defend this. Bottom lane, there's tier 1. They really want to break it, Zora Tigers, but can they do it? The Gatling Gulpit's there to continue to zone them out. Zynus, his Unite has been so crucial in ensuring Zora Tigers can't fight where they want.
Yeah, what a credit to Cramorant Unite move that even with a Unite
they
moving
caught
Snorlax the
Mule!
other way, it still hurts. Blitz Assistance is on that Mimikyu, so that damage buff enough to take out the first KO. Play with me onto Ward, and together the team will find the KO onto the Snorlax. Yet another falls, and Anemo starts picking up some steam.
Fusion, they are smelling that game number 3. They are feeling it, and they are looking like they could very easily take this game as they have won the past couple fights very convincingly as well, especially with the way that they are picking off Zora Tigers. Fusion have to keep this up. They have to keep up the aggression. They can't sit on their heels, even though they are looking pretty in their current position, because we know for a fact Zora Tigers, they will look for you if they need that experience as well. And they actually managed to catch the Slowbro there with the Yawn. They're going to try and hang around. Unite is used there onto Jong, that Gyarados. He will stick around the Cerulean. They're using the Unite to maybe try and zone again, but the team is here. Slowbro is down, and actually, they're just going to back on out. It's a 1-for-1.
That's a lot of resources used just to knock out a Slowbro, and Tempo's going to walk away with 2 KOs, so I don't think XORATIGERS Gaming is happy with that exchange at all. Fusion hold on to that defense. They do allow that one score because of a nice yawn from Ward, but other than that, they hold on. I like that play from Draken, hiding out in that tall grass forever on that Slowbro with his sole purpose of defending that tier number 1. No real Regieleki gamers on the roster of Fusion, as they are going to be giving up on that objective time after time, and instead trying to find value elsewhere. Tough part is, no goal zones on the bottom side to score in outside of the home, so it's just going to be knocking out wild Pokemon and setting up for this Rayquaza.
So Jong has gone into that bottom lane just to clean up those last few wild Pokemon. Really wants to get that experience creep closer and closer to that level 13, because we have 20 seconds to go before we hit that final 2-minute stretch. And at the moment, looking pretty spread across the board here for Fusion. We have that Mimikyu guarding that top goal zone, the Slowbro at that bottom goal zone. I don't blame Fusion for being quite defensive here because they have too many open goals to worry about at the moment.
And we all saw how that last team fight played out, right? Extremely patient exchange where Backcap could really turn the tide of this entire series. XORATIGERS Gaming trying to lock in their spot in the grand finals in this final stretch. Fusion trying to keep their tournament dreams alive and force us to a game number 3.
Now the question is, who makes the move first? Because Zora Tigers, they are the ones behind, so ideally they want to have the dream initiation. And is it going to come down to Jong? Is he going to have to put on his snorkel and go for that Dream Dragons Unite?
Right, there's a Shadow Sneak that does land onto Mule. That is Tempo chasing it down. Play Rough is going to get them out of danger. It's a lot of Unite moves, but Jong going to be the first one to strike. Sorry, Mule takes that KO. Mule now putting up 2 as Mimikyu also falls. Gyarados jumps to the back line to try to help defend, but it's Fusion who strikes back. Rayquaza at about half HP. Fusion trying to chase down the remaining members of XORATIGERS Gaming. Jong needs to find a good place to engage, but there's no one at the moment. Ward yawns that Buzzwole, and Nemo is stuck in that position. Rayquaza extremely low. It's knocked out. It's Zora Tigers Gaming! Anemo is still there though, defending. They cannot break a shield. There's 2 Rayquaza shields to none, and Zora Tigers Gaming needs to take this lead and put in these points.
And Kia, the shield is so low. Can they break?
They broke it! They broke the
it!
shield! They broke the shield! Only 1 score in from the Eldegoss. 100 points. Zora Tigers Gaming now holds the lead, but we got 40 seconds left, and Fusion's dreams are still alive.
It's still alive, but they have to wait for those 10-second respawn timers. Can they even make it in time to that tier 1 goal zone in the top lane? That's the closest one that they can go to right now.
They got the call. There's no backup. All they have is 20 seconds to
Can
take
someone sneak
this
into the home base?
tournament fate. Mimikyu is moving towards potentially the home base, but it's
No.
back to that tier 1. Tempo does land the Shadow Sneak onto Subin, all the way in the back. That's the first KO. Ward does block. Heavy
10
slam blocks up this one.
seconds.
58 points in the tier 1 from the center ledge. Back the other way. Blitzing puts it 20. 20 more from
Yes,
Tempo. The scoring race is so unbelievably close. I am stunned. With Zora Tigers Gaming reacting like they do, I have to imagine that is gonna be it.
They've
And
done it.
389, Zora Tigers Gaming eliminate Fusion, handing them their first tournament loss of the entire